Hello, I am Matt Williamson. How's everyone doing? Let's go. We got training camp right around the corner, and there's some things happening. And I wanted to start with Rob King. Rob King is now the play-by-play officially for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I couldn't be happier for him. I think it was the right choice. That's who I was hoping for. I think you guys are going to be very happy with him. He knows his stuff. He was a former player way back when. He went to a real small school, was a quarterback there, sees the game like you would expect. And just a good dude. I didn't know Rob very well a year ago, but over this past year, I've done quite a bit of work with him. I like him quite a bit. I think he'll be really good on the air. I don't know if you're aware of this, but I think the same thing will be true going forward. But Rob and I hosted a Monday show during the season where we would recap the game with Wolf. It was the three of us on DVE, and that was great. That was an hour every Monday. And then every Thursday, Dale and Rob and I did a video for the Steelers.com. So we would go down to the facility, eat lunch, watch practice a little, do a video. We had a prep meeting before that. And he's a professional, you know what I mean? Like, he's really good behind and, you know, on camera. He got us always on the right track, knows his stuff. So just wanted to say congrats to Rob. I think you guys will all be very happy with him. That's exactly who I was hoping would get the gig. And hey, Hillgrove's a legend. That's big shoes to fill, of course, but I think you guys will be thrilled with Rob. So just wanted to start the show with that. I know he listens as well from time to time, as does his son. So hello to you guys. Guys, BetOnline is number one source for all your summer sports this season, from Major League Baseball, golf, and so many more. All the latest stats, news, and scores available to follow your favorite teams. Get the latest odds and lines, including the latest team matchups, props, odds on just about every sport out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Talked about Rob to start the show. We're talking special teams now. Woo! But hey, I think you're going to like it. And why? Because the Steelers signed Tyler Matakevich. It looks like, when I'm recording this, I have not seen the official contract, but it looks like there won't be any signing bonus. Expected to be a $1.2 million deal. So frankly, that doesn't even guarantee him a roster spot. But he's here for special teams. And when he was a Steeler for 4 years, he was a Bill for 4 years. Seems like that was not that long ago, but he was in Buffalo these past 4 years. With the Steelers, he had slightly over 1,200 special team snaps over 4 seasons. With the Bills, he had 1,356 snaps for Buffalo on special teams as their special teams captain. So a little more, but that's a ton of special team snaps, folks. I mean, over 8 years to be at 2,500 special team snaps is a ton. I mean, that's where his bread and butter is. He is a true core special teamer, if you don't remember, or you're too young or whatever. He's going to be 32 years old. So, I mean, he's not here for the long haul. I mean, you get a year or two out of him, who knows? He only has 291 defensive snaps in his entire career. About the same, about 137 for the Bills over 4 years, 154 for the Steelers. And basically, he's an emergency option at linebacker. I mean, he was a great college linebacker, but he's just not, frankly, physically gifted enough or has a size to be someone you can count on. But if your guys get hurt, he's always active on game day on special teams because he's a great special teamer. Makes him and Killebrew are two of the best in the league. Obviously, special teams a priority. We'll get into that here a little bit too. But in terms of playing defense, that's just break glass in case of emergency. I mean, if your guys that are active get hurt, maybe you only had 3 dressed and 2 of them go down, well, he can come in and play linebacker and get you out of a game. This certainly is bad news for Mark Robinson. I mean, there's 4 linebackers on this team, and if we include Matakevich, that goes to 5 that are pretty darn close to guaranteed to making the team. And then there's Robinson, and you don't usually keep 6. So this is bad news for him, who played a lot of teams. We'll get to that in a little bit yesterday. He played a lot of teams last year. I've thrown this out there, after they drafted Peyton Wilson, that if Wilson's awesome and Holcomb's healthy, might they trade Holcomb? And this makes me just bring it up again. I mean, he'd have to prove in the preseason and put on tape that he's 100%, and maybe we don't even get to that point. So he might be a really hard guy to trade. And frankly, I think Holcomb's a pretty darn good player, especially if he's your 3 or 2/rotation. I mean, he's not asked to be the 1. So I'm just throwing it out there. There might be an extra linebacker, and I can't see Roberts getting traded. We know Wilson and Queen won't. No one's trading for Matakevich or Robinson, so there's that. Now, I know a lot of you don't think this way, but teams definitely do. And the Steelers stress this a little bit more than most in terms of keeping core special teamers. I mean, Killebrew and Matakevich are the perfect example. You really don't want them on the defense, but they're here for special teams. And I hadn't really done this until this signing, but I'm starting to look at who are going to be. There's usually 4 or 5 Steelers that are basically Steelers because of special teams, and we'll talk about the guys from last year that played the most snaps. But who are those guys going to be? I mean, usually it's a wide receiver, like a Boykin. I don't think any of these receivers are going to be that guy. I mean, that they're going to be running down, making tackles for you. So this receiver core isn't set up that way. Connor Hayward will be one of them. I mean, he's going to be a core special teamer with Killebrew, with Matakevich. Okay. Michael Pruitt isn't a core special teamer, but he was on Atlanta's kick return team. We'll get to the kick return rules here in a minute. Cordarrelle Patterson doesn't count as a core special teamer, but he kind of does because he's a great returner. And you upgraded, obviously, at returner quite a bit. And I think kickoffs are going to be more, I know kickoffs are going to be more valuable, important than they used to. But I'm not counting Patterson or certainly Pruitt as a core special teamer. Like a Killebrew or like a Matakevich. Herbig was last year, but if he's 3rd on your depth chart, are you as comfortable using him on all special teams as you did last year? I don't know. That outside linebacker 4 that's to be determined, could that be a great special teamer? I keep thinking it's going to be more of a Golden type, who also is not much of a special teamer. But there is a roster spot available in that outside linebacker edge room. Maybe that guy is a great teams player. Might Peyton Wilson be a superstar teamer right off the bat? I also think he might be the starting linebacker, so I think he is a strong case to be an awesome special teams player. So that's good. Killebrew's one of the guys in the mix too. And I don't know about the young corners. Trice and the draft pick and Rush. I just have to see it. I mean, and I'm sure they'll be asked to do it, but are they going to be one of your 4 or 5 guys for Danny Smith that he just counts on for all phases? That's to be determined. I mean, maybe some of those slot guys that we've talked about can be in that equation, but they're smaller. So I'm having a hard time getting to 4 or 5 that are big time special team dudes. And that'll work. That's a big thing to look at camp. People don't think about that stuff. One note, when you watch the preseason games, this is true for all teams. In particular, look who's on the first punt team. That'll give you a good indication of who they have the most faith in with special teams in the preseason. So last year, in terms of special team snaps, Herbig led the team with 352. So maybe they run that back, but I just think they're going to ask more of him on defense. So who knows? Killebrew was 2, 319. That's going to happen again. But Boykin was 3, 316. Mark Robinson was 4 at 302. And forgive me, I don't study every special team tape, but I didn't think of him as a great special teamer. If by chance he was, maybe go back and erase some things I talked about him being in trouble. But man, it's tough to be the 6th linebacker unless you're awesome on teams. That probably isn't the way this team will be roster constructed, but maybe he can hook on in the practice squad or something like that. But anyway, he played 302 special team snaps. I'm not counting on that this year or him even being a Steeler. Pierre played 269. He's gone. Hayward did play 247. That's good. I mean, so that was the 6th most on the team. I assume that'll keep up. Sullivan, also not back. He played 222. Elijah Riley, also not back. He played 216. And Rodney Williams is a good special teamer too. 189 snaps. But all of a sudden, that tight end room's pretty deep too. Is he going to beat out Michael Pruitt? Or, I mean, they probably keep 4 tight ends considering how much Arthur Smith uses a tight end position, but Williams could be the 5th one. So this is something to pay attention to. So the Matakevich signing initially alarmed me, but then I thought all the stuff we just talked through, who are their core special teamers? I mean, now they have 2 great ones and a lot of questions. I also think the new kickoff rule, you're going to see some bigger bodies on the kickoff teams. I think you're going to see more tight ends. I think you'll see more edge rushers, maybe even undersized young Brett Kiesel defensive end types, that are 270 that can run. That you don't have to cover as much space. I don't think you'll see any offensive linemen out there, but I do think the kickoffs in general will be bigger people than they've been in the past. So just a lot of special team stuff to think about. And then I wanted to end this show, and I think you're aware of this, but now the actual humans kicking the football might be the best battery in the league. I mean, Boswell to me has been a top 5 kicker easy and still is, and is a tremendous football player. And I think all you guys recognize that. I mentioned the other day that in punting metrics, the Steelers go from Harvin, who was dead last, to Johnston, who was 6th. So let's say Johnston and Boswell are both, and I'm being conservative here, top 10 specialists. And Patterson's frankly, I think Boswell's a top 3 kicker. If Johnston can be a top 10 punter, which again is conservative, he could be a top 5, and Patterson's a top 3 kick returner, it's pretty good. But we do have to figure out the Matakevich Killebrew types, the core do all 4 phases, both punt teams, both kickoff teams. I'm not talking about kick block or field goal or those type of things. Those are the guys that Danny Smith's going to have to fish out. And this signing makes a lot more sense when you go through it like this than I thought initially, so they were a little light with that. And I don't think they're going to get any help from the receiver corps. I don't see a Boykin out there that is going to be running down on punting. All right. Interesting stuff. I will talk to you soon.